Welcome back to Girl Take the Lead, the podcast where we explore the real, raw, and remarkable stories of people breaking cycles, finding freedom, and leading with courage. Today's guest is Hillary Spiritos, a pathfinding coach, mentor, and founder of Bat Outta Hell, where she helps young adults find the courage, creativity, and resilience to design lives that feel authentic, invigorating, and meaningful. After years in university advising at Duke, NYU, and Northeastern, Hillary saw firsthand how many students and young professionals feel stuck, overwhelmed by choices, anxious about the future, and unsure which paths was truly theirs. Now, she helps Millennials and Gen Zers redefine success from the inside out, trust their instincts, and take bold steps towards the life they imagine. In this conversation, Hillary and I talk about what it means to find your path in a world that's constantly shifting, how to navigate uncertainty, silence self-doubt, and learn to trust yourself again. Her message reminds us that our path doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Trusting yourself is where the clarity begins and where courage is built. Let's jump in. Here you go. Hillary, welcome to Girl Take the Lead. We're going to have such a fun conversation. So thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Let's start, if you would, to introduce yourself to the viewers and listeners. That would be great.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm Hillary Spiritos, and my business is called Bat Outta Hell, which is a pathfinding consultancy. And my mission is to help young adults overcome their blocks by finding the courage, creativity, grit, resourcefulness, and resilience to create and execute the steps to move forward in their lives. I also help them figure out what's next, understand and overcome what's in their way, and create an action plan so that they can build a life that is invigorating and meaningful and sustainable for them.
Oh, gosh, I wish you had been around when I was getting started. It would have been so nice to have had a plan instead of just, going through the, in the dark.
Sure, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I know you have a passion, as just stated, that you want to help others. How did you come to that? Like, what was it that drives this spirit for you?
Yeah, that's a really great question because I find this work so soul feeding and soul enriching that I'm just really passionate and care a lot about what I do. And so I what I draw back to is that I've always loved inspirational sports movies, and I remember distinctly telling my mom that I really resonated with the coach who was always there to help the players like find the best in themselves and motivate them to push forward. And I just felt like I wanted to be that type of person for
Mm.
other people. And then this cohort, particularly Millennials and Gen Z, is particularly interesting to me because I feel that we we often as young people are doing the same things at the same pace as everybody else. We're kind of on a track as young, like children in school. And then once we get to university, that track just kind of opens up, and even more so after university. And that's a period of exploration and questions and anxiety. And I think that that just is a real time for huge growth. And
Mhm.
if you really take advantage of that experience, then there's kind of no limit to figuring out who you are, what you want, what you're passionate about, your place in the world. And that's really exciting to me, let alone, I think, exciting, but also scary for the young adults that I work with.
Uh-huh.
And then also, I feel like this cohort of people is just not accepting of the whole this is how it's always been done mentality.
No, they're not.
And I think that's awesome. And I think that things are broken. And I'm really excited to see what happens. And I know that it is a tumultuous time, but
Mhm.
I do think that we need young adults who have a interesting new vision and have new ideas and ways to kind of steer us in the world in a certain direction that I think I would like to help young adults feel like they're empowered enough to create the lives that they want to live and create the world that they want to see.
Mm. So you're helping that cohort really beyond academics, and you're helping them just really find their purpose and their way through it.
Yeah, and I work with not like university age students as well as people entering into their workforce for the first time,
Mhm.
as well as people maybe finding their second or third job. So I work with, I would say, 18 to 35-year olds, though that's can vary and
Mhm.
shift, but it's
Mhm.
definitely people who are entering these periods of unknown. I
Yeah.
mean, I understand that all life is unknown, and I understand that like a lot of times we don't know what's going on because we have very little control, but um I feel like this cohort of people are really just emerging at this time, and so that's where I am focusing my efforts.
I know you mentioned a little bit about some of the challenges you see, the millennial and Gen Z, and even the alpha coming along that
Yep.
will that they're facing. What are some things there that you see?
That's a great question because sometimes when I talk to people about this, I get met with, it's always hard for young people. And that is true. However, I do believe that this cohort of people are dealing with factors that are very different than what previous generations have dealt with. And a
Mhm.
lot of people have spoken about this. However, there are often a lot of cases of kind of belittling what young people and young adults and millennials and Gen Z are dealing with. And so I
Mhm.
think that can be very frustrating. But to answer your question, this cohort of people are living in a world that is constantly shifting under their feet, and they're trying to get a grasp on it, and they're trying to build a sustainable, enriching, fulfilling life in a world
Mhm.
that, as I mentioned before, there are many systems that are broken, such as the housing system, the education system, healthcare, um, corporate structure. There's also looming climate change, social political unrest, and they're also are dealing with the effects of helicopter parenting as well as the after effects of the COVID pandemic during their very formative years, as well as dealing with growing up with and living with social media. And so I think that there are so many factors that go into how this generation or these two generations are really struggling with finding themselves and building a life.
I saw cynicism,
Yeah.
um, and in when I was teaching that, um, nothing was trusted. Like, it was hard to determine what to trust and what not to trust. That cynicism kind of seems to be the result of the things that you're talking about.
Sure. And I do want to recognize, I think that's really important, is that it is, it can be very hard to um get stoked and excited about your life when you're feeling that there are so many factors that are not in your favor.
Yeah.
And absolutely the cynicism of what to believe and what not to believe, whereas that maybe that's fit into the social media, but also the cynicism of like, what does it matter anyway? Like, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
Um, but I do think that look, you're here. Like I tell my clients, you're here, and you have to learn, or if you want to create and build an interesting, sustainable, fulfilling life. Because
Yeah.
even though all these things are, whether they're tilted in your favor or not, you're still existing. And we want to live the life that you imagine. And we want to live your fullest, fiercest life because
Yeah.
otherwise, it's just going to be a real struggle, slog, very challenging, very upsetting, very stressful. Like, there's a
Yeah.
way to engage with life even when you feel this cynicism.
Well, what I also hear is you kind of helping your clients kind of redefine success from it just being about a title or a salary, that it can be more, that there's a better measure of success out there. What what
Absolutely.
what are your
So,
thoughts on that?
yeah, I think it's not, well, I do think there is a better measure of success than a title, but it's not really for me to say. And that's exactly what the point I'm trying to make is that success comes from you. What is your definition of success? And that's what I try to talk to my clients about and try to help them engage with that question of your title, your salary, your um like job. It is all external and it is all other people giving you the validation. And that is changing. That's not sustainable. That's not fulfilling in the way that you're always going to feel like someone else is getting more money, some other job is more important. So like the goalposts keep moving. It's not fulfilling in the same way as if you feel I'm I feel like I'm successful in that I'm doing what I want to be doing right now and I'm trying my best, or I'm living in accordance with my values. And that's also another question. What are your values? If your values are making a lot of money, that's great. If your values are being of service, if your values are being out in nature, if your value is living a big, expansive, lots of opportunities life, like trying all the different adventures, like what are your values? And if you're living in accordance to your values, then generally that's what makes a successful life internally.
Your ideas around success are important because I think we've looked at success as some one dimension, like if you're a celebrity, if you have that kind of um, attention out in the world, that quote makes you successful. And the thing that we don't know, I've heard this notion of satisfaction
Sure.
versus looking at success as some kind of measurement from a salary and title position. I love that idea, that how satisfied you can be if you're, like you said, if you're living your values, if you're aligned with where your passions and talents are. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, there are definitely, I mean, we've all heard about people who are very successful in the public eye and very,
Yeah.
you know, famous, who are not fulfilled in various ways or who don't feel internal peace or calmness.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I would absolutely, maybe that equates to being successful in your industry, but I also would believe that there are some jobs that they like more than others. There are some that feel like maybe the work that they're doing is not an accurate representation of what they love to do. So like it's
Yeah.
just not an accurate, um, it's nice to look at and like it's aspirational and we all feel like that would be really lovely, but that comes with its own challenges. And I don't necessarily think that that's a barometer of success, but it definitely, or it should be your personal barometer of success. But I understand for
Yeah.
sure. And I do think it's important to think about all these definitions where it's success or failure or courage or all of these things that I think we have these ideas of what they mean and we need to define it or redefine it for ourselves.
Yeah. So do you think social media helps do that or hinders that? Because, back in the day when we would look at celebrities, we would have access to them, through television or newspaper magazines, but not like this digital bombardment that I think the cohort is experiencing day in and day out, numbers of hours online. I have to watch myself. I'm like, okay, first thing in the morning, grab my phone. I'm looking, I'm scrolling.
Yeah.
I'm like everybody else. I'm getting served up things that make me feel good in the morning. It's like my algorithm is all set. But I don't know, maybe it's not all that bad, that social media is there as a way for that cohort to relate and connect to other people.
Yeah, I think the social media question or the social media conversation I think is really interesting because I do not believe in demonizing social media. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I do think it's problematic in many ways. And so I
Mhm.
think it's important, and this is what I talk to a lot of clients about this. Um, it's important to start with an awareness of social media and why you're using it. So
Mhm.
it, to what you said about your algorithm, like recognizing that social media feeds aren't neutral and that they're optimized for engagement, not for like truth and factual information.
Right.
So to recognize that and to at least acknowledge and know that, and
Mhm.
then also recognize that what you're seeing is someone's projected, curated
Right.
reality,
Mhm.
um, and remind yourself of that. And what you're talking about though, ask yourself why you're using it. So are you using it for inspiration? Like are you trying to like revamp your wardrobe or are you trying to do some artwork that you're trying to see what other artists or interesting people are doing? Are you um bored and just trying to find comedy or interesting things to listen to or talk about? Are you stressed? Are you wanting validation? Like this is can help you reframe and how you use it and what it does for you, which is really important.
Mhm.
Um, I also think it's important to, as you're saying, avoid passive consumption. So
Yeah.
just like sitting there scrolling, like make sure that you're taking breaks and taking like setting limitations for yourself, like not sitting there for 3 hours scrolling and passively just like taking in information, and fact check what you're learning. So if you
Yeah.
are using it as a tool for especially news, then make sure you fact check and like recognize who the source is.
Mhm.
Um, and then we also want to remind ourselves that our self-worth is not based on our likes and our views, and that social media is not a replacement for community and connection, but it's a
Mhm.
supplement. So prioritize real in-person connection as much as possible.
Mhm.
However, I do think that it is a source of connection, a source of inspiration, can be a source of comedy and joy, and can be a way
Mhm.
to share your work. I mean, I'm on social media. Um, so I think it is important to recognize what it
Yeah.
is and be
Yeah.
aware and frame it as a tool and a understand why you're using it and be aware
Mhm.
rather than just mindlessly seeing it and seeing with you doing the comparison thing and the doom scrolling and the
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
beneficial.
One of the things that I observe about social media is that it makes it so affordable and approachable for everyone. You don't have to be a Fortune 500 company to go out and advertise. People can get to know you and what you want to do in the world in the same way that Nike wants to let you know about their shoes. It seems so much more democratic. I don't like to use that word so much, but that it's approachable for anybody. And I know that sometimes we have to watch the people who are taking advantage of that, and be cautious of it. But I think it makes it so that we can connect. By doing this podcast, Hillary, I've connected with women like you around the world, in
Sure.
Australia, in France, in Canada. I mean, it's mind blowing to me,
Sure.
right?
And I think that's really beautiful. So I do think that social media allowing people to express themselves for free is and putting their work out there and putting themselves out there is great.
Mhm.
And so I think I think we have to just be aware. So it's like there are people who are
Yeah.
social media influencers or models or whomever who are just putting pictures up. And then there are those social media influencers or models who are putting pictures up of before Photoshop and after Photoshop. So it's like there
Exactly.
are people that are
Yeah.
shining lights on things that are really interesting and important to know
Yeah.
and break through that glass, but there's another section that it can be very comparison driven and can be very um challenging to deal with. But I
Yeah.
also think it's important to notice that I feel like there's a trend in social media now that what people are really attracted to and what people are really connecting with is authenticity. And that is really cool to me. So that
Yeah.
is kind of meaning like people aren't really excited about those people who are living their perfect lives and
Yeah.
baking a pie while they raise their three kids and whatever, like with their relationship that is since high school that they've loved. It
Yeah.
is more so this is really challenge or if that is the case, I'm also really challenging and I burnt the five pies that are I built baked before this and whatever.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting to know that we're breaking through that kind of facade and people are really wanting
Yeah.
authenticity and vulnerability and recognizing that everyone's life is not it's not like everyone knows what they're doing but you don't.
Yeah.
So that can be very fortifying.
It seems that our young millennials and Gen Zers who are going into the workforce for the first time are having a very difficult time
Hmm.
finding a job.
Hmm.
What do you think helps those who do?
Who do have a difficult time finding their job.
Who have a difficult time, but also helps the people who are able to get into that first rung and entry level.
So I think there are many layers to this question, and I think that as everything that we've talked about in this conversation, like it just varies person to person,
Yeah.
and it depends on what skills that person has, or maybe so. But I would say a couple things. The traditional way of getting a job does not seem to be the way to get a job anymore.
Mm,
So even if you like, even when I was applying for jobs, I used to be sneaky and um, get into office buildings and give my resume in person or like find their email addresses and
right.
send cold email them, which you can still do. You can still find their
Yeah.
email addresses or DM them or whatever, but it is more electronic and AI based. So
Mhm.
you do sometimes feel like you can't walk into an office and talk to somebody. You don't know a number to call. So it can
Mhm.
feel very frustrating in that way.
Yeah.
I also think that, um, so I think sometimes when your parents are like, do this, you're like, it doesn't work that way anymore.
Yeah.
I also feel like social media and different sites are more helpful in finding work than perhaps LinkedIn was, or
Yeah.
perhaps
Yeah. I've heard
um,
that.
so I think that's another way social media can be really helpful. I mean, there are people giving job like names of job boards, there are people who are hiring, there are people who are like telling them how they got their jobs. So I
Mhm.
think that can be very beneficial. I also think that this opportunity might give you the tools and skills to either go to a different place or
Mhm.
rise up in the ranks or um, just get a foot in the door or something. It
Yeah.
might be a different way of it's just reframing what a job is for you because I think some social media also makes us feel like we should be earning six figures,
Yeah. By the time
and
certain age.
your entry level job isn't necessarily going to do that. It
Right.
probably won't unless you're maybe in finance or something,
Yeah.
but also your entry level job isn't forever. it is also a very hard job market. And so it might be about finding a job that is perhaps not in the company that you want to work in, but in an adjacent company. Or it might be about networking. I mean, I think a lot of people are finding that networking is challenging because in the social media world, hesitate to like reach out or put themselves forward and talk to
Mhm.
people and ask someone
Mhm.
for coffee. But I think that is kind of the key.
Is there anything
And
else
just
you want?
also, sorry,
Yeah.
and just
Okay.
also be nice to yourself. Like, it just is hard. And to feel like you're just, to not judge the experience and not, and just be kind to yourself throughout is just really critical.
Yeah. Well, we've covered so much in our episode. Is there anything else there that you want to cover, or did we get everything?
I think I just want to say that we so often think as young people that if we do our own thing or go outside of our comfort zone or try something new, we'll be met with judgment. When you go out and do something new or different or unusual or out of your comfort zone, you're actually more often than not, you often encounter pride and like people being really excited for you and people thinking you're badass and people like and you also get an inside feeling of, oh, I'm a badass, I can handle this. Like
Yeah.
there are so many people and clients who I talk to about, I mean, going out to dinner by themselves or like applying for this and going through all the interview rounds, even if they don't get it, or like trying or like putting this thing out on social media. You have so many examples of just like realizing that you are kind of have to get out of your own way because you're anticipating a result that is probably not going to happen,
Mhm.
and you're going to feel a sense of pride and fulfillment and um feeling like you're killing it, that it just negates what everybody else is going to say about it anyway.
Yeah.
So I would just say that you kind of have to, that's what getting outside of your fear and like realizing what your blocks are and getting past them.
Hmm.
But yeah, just
Yeah.
remember that.
I love that. Well, because it's consistent with what you've been saying about internal satisfaction versus external, and
Right.
really going for that internal, what works for you. Oh, it's
Right.
really nice. So, how can our listeners follow you, work with you, find you, social
Absolutely.
media?
Yeah. So I'm accepting new clients. So my website is batoutahell.net, BATOUTTAHELL. My Instagram and TikTok handles are bat.outa_hell. And
That's too much. It's so
and
great.
you can, no, it's fine. And you can either schedule regular meetings with me or schedule a consultation call where you can learn more about me and the work that I do. And because I believe that my coaching style is different than other coaches in that I go a little bit deeper than most other coaches, where I focus on kind of getting in touch with your inner child and listening to your inner voice
Mhm.
and getting in touch with what you wanted to do and who you were as a young person and what messaging you received and all of that, because I think that that's where a lot of our blocks come from.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yes. And get them
So,
handled
yeah.
early, you guys. Don't wait until you're way past all of that to deal with it. Do
Well,
it
that's the
now,
thing
get it out
too.
of the way.
That's the thing too. It's that you don't get away from this. You don't go through life without being confronted with this.
Yeah.
And the question is, if you want to confront this now as a young person where you have so much of your life left to live and you can build a life that is what you want to live and create the life you imagine. And I'm not, you should continuously reflect and check in on yourself. It's always a constant question, but it's really heartbreaking when you look back on your life and you realize that you weren't living the life according to what you wanted or who you were or what your values are. And I think that it's just that's not what you want to have happen. So you
Mhm.
can't escape this. It's the question of if and when you want to deal with it and be an active participant engaged off the sidelines in your life.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, given our conversation, Hillary, what would you tell your 20-something self today?
There's so much. But I think I would say don't ever think the rules come from outside of you. I
Mm,
think I spent a lot of my childhood into young adulthood looking around and seeing what everyone else was doing and what I was supposed to be doing, and, so that I could be good enough or successful or palatable or whatever, and I think that I would just remind myself that it comes from me. The answer to that comes from me, and I'm the only one who can judge it, and I'm the one who has to live with my choices. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so good. And I know you got a chance to go to the store and you picked out our celebration ladies. Um, so thank you for doing that. And the sentiment reads something about we're too young to act normal or something like that. So I'm
Yeah, I remember I heard a quote that or I read somewhere that Sigourney Weaver's yearbook quote was, "Please God, don't let me be normal," or something, and I was just, like, so taken with that because there's just to live in a accordance with what everyone else is doing or what everyone else is saying, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it's
yeah.
not gonna lead you to success and happiness, it's gonna lead you to dissatisfaction. So
Mm.
go for it.
Oh boy, I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us and really, really appreciated our conversation and for you to help our millennial and Gen Z or loved ones navigate. So, and thank you for just the service that you're doing by being a coach and understanding what they're going through. So,
Yeah,
thank
thank you
you.
very much. I love it, and I think it's definitely beneficial. Um, it's helpful for sure.
Mm. What a refreshing and empowering conversation with Hillary, a guide who reminds us that the path forward begins within. Her invitation to trust ourselves, to redefine success through our own values, and to live courageously on our own terms is one we can all take to heart, no matter our age or stage of life. Here are three key takeaways from today's conversation. One, success isn't a title, it's alignment with your values. Two, courage grows when you take action, not when you wait for certainty. And three, trusting yourself is the foundation of every meaningful path forward. As always, thank you for listening, for sharing these stories and walking alongside me on the journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow the podcast, leave a review, or share it with someone who's finding their path. Next week, we'll be joined by Michelle Giovanni, a renowned spiritual life coach, mentor, and entrepreneur who helps people awaken their ancestral wealth and turn wounds into power. With her unique blend of spiritual magic, ancestral healing, and somatic freedom, Michelle empowers her clients to live lives of freedom, fulfillment, and flow. It's a conversation about energy, healing, and unlocking the potential that's already within us. You won't want to miss it. Until then, take care of your heart, trust yourself, and remember, you got this. Talk again soon.